Hey you guys, it's me, Ren, and it's a beautiful, very warm Sunday here in Los Angeles. And I got out of church maybe about a couple of hours ago, and I am sitting here at the California African American Museum. Reason being because this video is all about DNA. One of my greatest dreams came true about 3 days ago, I believe, whenever Thursday was. And, I was able to do my DNA test on Ancestry.com, and my brother is doing his. It will be very interesting to see our sameness and our differences, and I just wanted to share with you what my results are. And I want to encourage you, especially for Black people. I think that you should definitely do the DNA test. You can do it through Ancestry, or you can do it, I believe there's another website called 23andMe. And but it was so interesting. I had a couple of surprises, but here we go. So I want to first start with Africa. How exciting. So I am most likely up to 40% from the Ivory Coast or Ghana, which I know that they are basically right next to each other. And I am most likely 39%. Up to 39%. I mean, there's a range. Cameroon, Congo, and then Nigeria is up to about up to 42%. And then there's Senegal. There's Africa, Southeastern Bantu. There's Benin, Togo, and there's Africa North. So the actual percentages and then the percentage ranges are basically different. All of those fall under Africa, but basically the top percentage is 85%, of course, from the African continent. And then the higher percentage, 31% being Ghana, 24% being Cameroon, Congo, or let me back up, 31% Ivory Coast or Ghana, 24% Cameroon or Congo, and then 23% Nigeria. And so 4% Senegal, and then the rest are all 1%. I want to tell a story. This is pretty amazing to me, because I will say this: I was not raised in super Blackness or anything, and for me, I never connected with like Africa as far as my roots go. And then I live in a city, Los Angeles, that is definitely a melting pot of so many diverse cultures and people and ethnic groups. And I went to school with a lot of different types of people. So unlike other people that I've met who may be from the East Coast or the South, or maybe areas like Boston or Chicago or Philadelphia, who have more, I mean, I would say there's more of an aesthetic of Blackness in these areas, even New York. And that's not really emphasized, in my opinion, here in LA generally, as a general aesthetic. There are pockets of everything here in LA, and if you find a pocket that you can fall into, then that's cool. So this is very, very important to me. And I immediately, of course, went home and found a documentary that I thought was 2.5 hours. Then it became 5 hours. Then it became 11 hours, and I literally have been watching videos on the history of Ghana. I still have the Ivory Coast to go, and I just find it so interesting, really, really interesting. That's a whole nother video. So, the surprise, well, let me go to Europe. There is definitely a trend in my family where there's basically the highest percentages are African and British. And that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I was slightly aware of colonization or colonialism in that northern, western, West Africa, in that area. So that's definitely not a surprise. And I mean, we have photos of, like the white side of our family anyway. And my grandmother was half black and half white. So the European part, so mainly Great Britain, 14% as an overall European, 8% Great Britain, 4% Scandinavia, 2% Ireland, and 1% Europe West. Now the fun part is, with my cousin who's a little bit older than me, I think she's in her 40s. She's my sister's generation. So we were definitely comparing, and I mean, they're very, very similar, same region, same areas, of course. The surprise, I will tell you the stories about Europe afterwards, but let's talk about the surprise. The surprise was, for me, South Asia, specifically being India. So I have a gene that is basically an Indian gene, South Asia, India. I never expected that. Yeah, that was a surprise. Now, after watching the documentaries on Ghana, it is very clear that India was definitely a force to be reckoned with during those political times, during war, when Ghana first got their independence, and they were definitely an encouragement to the Ghanaian people about fighting for their rights and their freedom and all those things. India was definitely very much so involved in, the politics of Europe and Africa, and still doing more research on that. It's just the beginning for me. But somewhere along the way, somebody from somewhere, Europe, Britain, I don't know, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, somewhere, made their way to India, and somehow, I don't know. So that was really fun. So, a couple of stories. Okay, so Great Britain. I was just like, I just knew it. When it, like, Britain and Ireland, I just knew it. I had known it for a long time, like, just deep inside of me. I loved everything British, like, from the time I was, like, a kid. But I fell in love in Ireland when I was around 18 years old, because my painting teacher showed us slides of his trip to Ireland, and I just fell in love with those castles always. I'm telling you, just a part of me. And I thought to myself, I was like, it's your DNA. It is your genetic makeup. And, like, even if we don't know where we can trace ourselves back to, there are these things within you that seem to be so intuitive, like things that you're passionate about or things that you love, that are just a part of you because they are a part of your genetic makeup. And so basically the Ireland, I was like, I kind of expected that. Now Scandinavia, here's a fun story. So my brother and I were in downtown LA, and we stopped by this retail shop called Ancestry, which is a Scandinavian-inspired retail store. They have galleries, all kind of fun little things in there. And so I said to the girl, I said, well, you guys don't have any crochet, you know, like neckwear or little things for the home. So that night I went home and I searched Scandinavian crochet, and I was like, wow, what a joy. I mean, beautiful color work, granny squares. Love the choice of colorways and color blocking. And I just said to myself, how funny would that be if I discovered that Scandinavia was on my DNA results, and there it is. So it just makes me that much more excited about Scandinavian crochet. So yeah, and that's pretty much it. It's just the beginning. I do definitely feel settled and changed about finally knowing at least the region of Africa that my DNA traces back to. I would say I know that there's so many ethnic groups within each country, and so then it's a matter of like trying to break it down from there. Last story, you guys. I don't want this video to be too long, but nonetheless, I think we're kind of over that, right? Isn't it fun to just talk? Okay, so here's a story about when my brother and I would work at TBN, and we would work as temp employees to raise money for the praise-a-thons. So met this lady, and she was from Ghana. The only person ever in my life. She was like, you look like you are from Ghana. Like, she just kept saying this. And mind you, like, the praise-a-thon would be for like, I guess, like 2 weeks or something like that. And every time she would come in, you look like you are from Ghana. I am telling you. And I remember her saying to me that I looked like a specific tribe of people. And I just cannot remember that name. But I would tell my grandmother would be like, oh no, baby. You know, my grandmother was in denial. She was like, we're not African, baby. We are not African, okay? I'd be like, Grammy, what? But yeah, she was the only person that was just certain. She was like, you are from Ghana. You look like you're from Ghana. So I thought that was really fun to see that was like my top percentage. Most likely Ghanaian or from the Ivory Coast. Ooh, a fly. It's hot out here, y'all. Okay, so that's it. More to come later. And I just encourage you to definitely find a reputable website. It can be Ancestry.com or any other website that people use to do your DNA test. They're so cheap these days, like $100 to do it. I believe the 23andMe also lets you know like what health issues you may be prone to based on your DNA. But yeah, this just gives me that much more confidence in understanding who I am and knowing who I am, like identity-wise. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So you guys, thank you for the continued prayers. I will keep you updated. More fun little videos to come. A little bit of makeup, a little bit of crochet. And that's it. All right, love you and God bless. And see you soon. All right, bye-bye.